through our presentation and the work looking into this, we found that there are 4 purposes for homework that really have an impact on helping students learn, that we've expanded on in our presentations. And so one of those examples is we found there's an over-reliance on practice, that teachers believe they're assigning homework so that students can practice. But it's open-ended, and it's often going back to that example that we experienced, which is tonight for homework you're going to complete numbers 1 through 50 odd only, and tomorrow it'll be number 2 through 50 even only. And through that you get some information as a teacher as to how successfully the students are completing it. But we know there are other ways. You could assign that practice and only give 3 problems, but ask the students to explain their thinking and write it out. As a teacher, I get a lot more information, and I can see where there may be a mistake or where they're off the path in terms of the process that they need to be following. So in a much more efficient, compact amount of time, which we know helps moms and dads around the table for homework, the teacher gets the same amount of information, and it can then help them the next day instructionally in the classroom.
Now, are you 3 like the 3 merry men that are kind of on your own and, you know, the rogue, the rogue principal and superintendent, or is there a lot of support for this theory?
We talk about it a lot as superintendents, and it's a challenging issue to tackle because it brings up so many emotions. And parents expect homework. They expect the homework that they did that was used to them. So when you start changing those practices, it can become a challenge. And teachers also have deep-rooted beliefs in homework. And some of them truly believe in the compliance issue, and that will teach time management. Some of them, you know, want to try to promote creativity. So for a reading assignment, they'll have students create a diorama. And for those kids that like to create dioramas, that might be a good assignment, although I'm not sure it promotes reading comprehension. But for other students, and a boy like myself that hated art, that was a torturous assignment. So I think to think about different types of, as we do in the classroom, different types of learners, different types of way of showing that you're showing, it can be done very differently. So I think it's an important issue and people want to tackle it, but I think they shy away from it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's shocking when we say, you know.
It is actually. I was excited to talk to you guys because when I read, I was like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Like, let's start this conversation because I hear so much on the other side.
Yeah, and I don't think that, you know, that we would advocate the total absence of homework, but I think that what you need to consider is the type of homework that you're doing, and if it's not based on some of the research that we looked at, then you need to err in the side of not assigning it, I think, and develop something a little bit more meaningful.
It was interesting, we were working with some teachers just a couple of weeks ago, and a music teacher who sees kids sporadically was talking about her homework and saying the difficulty of having kids do it because they don't see her over long periods of time. And I think she was taken back a little bit when Eddie told her, you know, maybe your homework assignments aren't that meaningful to the kids, or maybe they're not that relevant, so maybe don't assign it. And she said, you're giving me permission not to assign homework. And we said, absolutely. Unless it's meaningful and making a difference in learning, we don't think you should assign it.
Initially, when we thought of this as a topic, I was unsure of the level of interest. But as with each group that we present to, you realize that homework affects every member of a school district, every member of the school community, from the students to the parents, and that image that we have of them around the table at night, to the teachers who are assigning it based on whatever they know to be homework that they receive, to administrators who deal with those calls from parents about the struggles at night, to the Board of Education. So it's from top to bottom, everyone is included in the topic. And we mentioned earlier, it's sometimes an afterthought. Homework is just something that happens, but it really impacts everyone and can be used more effectively.
The name itself, like even when you say homework, it's almost an immediate in your head, like a negative connotation, right? You're just thinking about it, you know, not only from a school perspective, but also from a work perspective, right? You know, so in real life, there are certain things that we can't tend to during the regular day, and we take it home for homework, a little homework to practice for the next day. And I think that we need to kind of flip that particular piece so that the work that we're doing at home is not only meaningful, but will assist you in your learning for future units. Yeah.
And we often start our presentations with, what's the first word that pops in your head when you hear the word homework? And depending if it's a parent, a first-year teacher, but again, most of those connotations are very negative. So we've tried to even change the words and use it home learning or home practice, because if you start talking about it as learning and practice, some of those assignments, which I think are the ones that are my pet peeves that really don't promote learning, actually go away. And we do that in our classrooms, and I think that's how I became excited and really interested in the topic of homework. When I first became a principal, I saw practices in my school that were done because they were traditional. They were traditional year after year after year, but they really maybe took a lot of time, but did not promote much learning. And those were, again, difficult to tackle because people were used to them, and I even heard from parents. My kid was waiting to get to 3rd grade to build this great cake, but it really didn't do much for learning. Homework's even more challenging, and our principals, I think, like the support that we said we have to do different, we have to do better, and feel that they are empowered now to work with teachers for that. But often it is a piece that is not discussed in the district because it is such a critical topic that evokes emotions like politics and religion.
I like that you say empowered. Is that how you feel when you start the conversation? You feel empowered?
I think the teachers do feel empowered. I think that they are saying, wow, I never really thought about it that way, and I don't have to assign more. I don't really even have to change my practices. I can actually work smarter, but not harder. Because what we want with homework is for information to get stored into long-term memory. And to do that, students have to go home and summarize their learning and ask questions. So instead of filling out worksheets or doing large projects, all they have to do is summarize their learning and ask questions what